Welcome to the Flag Bearer channel. This is Little Known Black History Facts. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Ernest Morrison, also known as Sunshine Sammy, Hollywood's first black child film star. Ernest Frederick Morrison was the first black child movie star signed to a long-term contract and is most famous for his role in the Our Gang Little Rascals series. Morrison was born on December 20th, 1912, to Louise and Joseph Ernest Morrison in New Orleans, Louisiana. Morrison made his film debut while still an infant. His father worked for a wealthy Los Angeles family that had connections in the film industry, and one day a producer who was an acquaintance of his father needed a baby for a scene and asked him to bring Ernest as a replacement for a child who wasn't working out. Morrison pulled off the job like a trooper, and his career was born. He made his unofficial movie debut, filling in for another child that would not stop crying. He was given the nickname Sunshine by the crew. His father would later add Sammy to the moniker. Morrison made his official movie debut in 1916 in The Soul of a Child at age 3. From 1917 to 1922, Morrison appeared in a series of silent films alongside then-child actor Marie Osborne called the Baby Marie Osborne series. Film producer Hal Roach had originally planned on giving him his own series, but after only one segment, the Sunshine Sammy series fell through pretty quickly. The idea stuck though, and it's thought that Hal Roach took the concept and recreated his idea in a series called Hal Roach's Rascals, Our Gang, with some credit going to his wife, who was so impressed with Morrison that she told her husband that he needed to get him under contract. Morrison's father did sign, and in 1919, at just 7 years old, Ernest Morrison was the first black child movie star signed to a long-term contract. He became the first African-American actor to be signed to a long-term contract with comedy film producer Hal Roach. Morrison made his debut as Booker T. Bacon in the 1922 debut short of the series called One Terrible Day. As the oldest member of the cast, Morrison was paid $10,000 a year, equivalent to $186,950 in today's currency, making him the highest paid black actor in Hollywood at the time. Morrison appeared in 28 episodes of The Little Rascals between 1922 and 1924. He remained with the show until 1924, when he was 12 years old. When The Little Rascals made it to the big screen, the idea of a group of friends that included both black and white children was revolutionary. Given the climate of the United States at the time and the fact that Our Gang premiered amid the surging popularity of the KKK and race riots, it's shocking that a diverse cast made it to the screen. Roach wasn't making a political statement, but he was also unconventional and didn't think that there was anything wrong with black and white children playing together. The Little Rascals is filled with characters depicting painful stereotypes, but the series was seen on movie screens just a few years after the derogatory film Birth of a Nation, and even though characters were now offensive stereotypes, it was, at the time, seen as a more favorable depiction of black characters. As it turns out, Sunshine Sammy, Farina, Stymie, and even Buckwheat for a minute or so were young black boys with starring roles in Hollywood and among the most popular performers of their time. There weren't very many blacks of any age getting any sort of featured screen time back then, at least not in the roles that didn't demean the black race. Thus, these young people were heralded in the black press and even by the NAACP as being some of the leading examples of blackness, well before any of them were old enough to drive. Ernest Morrison, along with the other 3 black boys of the Our Gang series, were the principal black characters throughout the 20th century. The Our Gang film series had a 20-year run. The black community treated them like rock stars. The Our Gang troupe was integrated from day one, and the kids treated each other as equals on screen and on the movie set as well. However, the roles the black kids held often played into minstrelly rooted stereotypes. Black audiences of the time seemed to be generally pleased with Our Gang, overlooking some of the more problematic individual scenes in favor of the overall concept of black and white children playing together. In particular, Ernest Morrison and the actor that played Farina were held up as role models, both for young children across the country and for the black race as a whole. Throughout the years, as the story moved into the 1950s and the 1960s, black audiences became more offended by the cringe-worthy bits than comforted by the cutesy premise. Many were offended that some of the scenes most suggestive of minstrel characters would be edited out of the syndication package. Ernest Morrison was the oldest member of the original comedy gang. He appeared in 28 episodes between 1922 and 1924 before accepting an offer to perform full-time in New York vaudeville shows. In 1924, Morrison, at the age of 22, married Annette Maccabee, but the couple divorced in 1936. For the next few years, Morrison performed in vaudeville shows and toured abroad before returning to the screen in 1940. After living and performing for 16 years in New York, Morrison returned to Los Angeles, where he was cast in the series by producers in Los Angeles called The Dead End East Side Kids, and played a character called Scrunno for the next 3 years. Scrunno was the only black member of the gang and had as many lines as the other members of the cast. After leaving the series, he performed with the Four Step Brothers, a dance group, for a short time in 1943. Ernest Morrison had an important place in silent comedy films. He was the first African-American performer to have a contract with a major film studio. He had great timing and screen presence. He was rarely stuck doing the stereotype gags that you usually saw in the slapstick comedies of the 1920s. Throughout his career, the young actor's father traveled with him. Like many young men of the time, Morrison was drafted into the U.S. Army during World War II in 1944, and he often performed as a comedian, singer, dancer for the troops. After his discharge from the Army in 1945, Morrison was offered a part in the series The Bowery Boys, but he declined the offer. For several years after the war, Morrison turned down a series of offers to return to show business, saying that he had fond memories of the movies but no desire to be part of them again. Instead, he accepted a job as a quality control inspector for an aerospace company in Compton, California, where he worked for 17 years. After his retirement, Morrison was rediscovered by film buffs who had learned of him after the revival of the Little Rascals in the 1970s. He accepted a few choice guest appearance roles in TV situation comedy series including Good Times and The Jeffersons. Morrison, who appeared in 145 motion pictures, was inducted into the Hall of Fame in Oakland, California in 1987, along with Sammy Davis Jr. and Scatman Crothers. Ernest "Sunshine" Sammy Morrison died at the age of 76 on July 24, 1989, in Linwood, California. Until next time, if you like little-known history facts as I do, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Press the bell to be notified of future uploads. Thank you for watching.